Hi everyone, I am Magesh Kumar, Assistant Professor in Civil Engineering Department from Rohini College of Engineering and Technology, Kanyakumari. So in this video, we are going to discuss about defects in rails. So during the manufacturing process and also during the service on running train, the rails should get defect due to some some of the reason. So the rail parts such as head, web, foot, and bolt holes, etc. may be defected. So what are the causes of defect? The major causes are the residual stresses induced during the manufacturing process. Because our rail are manufactured by cooling, rolling, gas pressing, processing the steel. So during manufacturing process, some residual stresses are induced. That is the major cause of defect, and also the defect associated with faulty welding, that is gas pores, lack of fusion, cracks, etc. Next, the dynamic stresses caused by vertical and lateral loads. Then the excessive thermal stresses due to variation in rail temperature. So due to these causes, some of the rail defects are noticed. They are corrugated or roaring rails, corrosion of rails, wear of rails, creep of rails, next hogged rails, and last one buckling of rail. So one by one we are going to see. First one is corrugated or roaring rails. So it is nothing. The heads of rails are not found straight in some places, that is with a wavy surface, such as called as corrugated rails. So due to this corrugation, when vehicle pass over such rails, a roaring noise is caused. So it is also called as roaring rails. The roaring rails are caused by the coning of engine wheels and due to high-speed trains and slipping of wheels of engine, then sudden application of brakes, use of light wagons and coaches, use of soft ballast, use of high tensile strength steel. So the effect caused due to the corrugated rails are, it will produce discomfort to the passengers, and also it leads to overall deterioration, the disturbance in ballast bed, loosening of anti-creep devices, increases the fuel consumption, and it leads to increase in the maintenance cost. So how can we remedy? The only remedial action in practical is to grind the corrugations of rails by special machine. So in corrugation, we have to make a remedial by grinding that corrugation only. Next one, corrosion of rails. Corrosion is usual in any ferrous content materials when contact with the damp condition. Okay. So usually seen in industrial areas, wet tunnels, and any moisture content area. The major effect is the rail section will get reduced gradually, and also the fatigue strength will reduce. If the corrosion is not prevented, it may lead to the failure of rail. So these are the effects. Then how can we prevent? The preventive measures, one is we can use the quality of rail. Then the surface treatment. The rail surface should be coated with non-corrosive material such as some special paints, red lead, bitumen, coal, tar, etc. So the wear of rails can be classified as on top of head of rail, at end of rails, and on the side of the head of rails. So first one, wear of rails on top of rails. So the metal from the top of rail flows and forms projection. This will lead to the corrosion. So they are caused by some heavy loads concentrated, so the impact of heavy loads and the grinding action of the sand particles between the rails and wheels. So these are the major causes. Next, wear at end of rails. So this is caused by due to the expansion gap. So at the expansion gap, the wheels of the vehicle have to take a jump. They impart a blow to the ends of the rail. So the successive blows at this end will cause the corrosion of rail. So it will affect the fish plate and fish bolts, and the contact surface between rails and sleepers are worn out, and also the expansion joints at sleepers are depressed due to settlement of ballast. And next one, the wear of rails on the sides of head of rail. So this is the most destructive type of wear, and it occurs when tracks are laid on curves. The main causes are the pressure due to the centrifugal force causes grinding action of wheel flanges. Then the vehicles do not bend to the shape of the curvature while moving over a curve. This results into the wear of the wheel flanges, and finally slipping action of wheel on curve. So these are the causes for corrosion of rails. So how can we prevent? Mainly we can use special alloy steel that will prevent the corrosion. Then good maintenance of tracks, reduce the expansion gaps, so using lubricating oils, and also by using head hardened rail. So this is another type of defect, that is hogged rails. So as shown in figure, the rails which are bent vertically at the ends are known as hogged rails. They are formed due to wear of rail on ends. So the remedial action for the hogged rail, it should be removed and replaced by new rails. Next, the end portion of the rail is cut off and fresh holes are provided for fish plates, or welding the own ends of the rails. And also hogged rail can be straightened by dehogged machine, consists of a bottle jack, a length of old rail, and 2 sets of clamps. So by using any one of this method, we can take remedial measure for the hogged rails. The buckling of rails. It means the track has gone out of its original position. So it happens on curves when the expansion of rails is prevented. So during any curve, we are providing expansion gap. So if insufficient gap or the expansion is prevented, then the buckling of rail will occur. So preventive measures are, we have to provide sufficient expansion gap, and the fish bolt should not be tightened up to an extent as to prevent expansion or contraction of rails. Then the contact surface between the fish plate and rails should be lubricated periodically, and precautions should be taken to reduce the grip. So these are the preventive measures to prevent the rail from any other defect. Thank you.